coming on home to you. And all you had to say was come back, Charleston Blue.
You've been gone too long, Blue. You left me in your pride. Oh, but people still remember you were a legend in your time. And now we're back together. Nothing we can't do. Ooh, and all I had to say was, come back, Charleston Blue.
I'm cruising down the street with a heart at my feet.
You're an angel in a Lincoln. You can stop the people thinking, oh, welcome back,
It's good to be back,
Charleston
Charleston.
Blue.
Hey,
Hey,
hey, hey, hey, hey, hey, hey, hey, yeah, what's up, everybody? Woo! Yes, we having a good time, ladies and gentlemen. How you
And we're back.
doing?
And
Hi.
we're back.
We are back, baby. I'm back, baby.
And how are you, Mr. Webb?
Oh, wait a minute, we gotta
I
do
guess
this
you
right.
should go ahead and well,
We gotta
go
do this
ahead.
right. We
It's
gotta do
my
this right.
movie, so
Hey, welcome to the Micheaux Mission. 2 men, 1 podcast. Every black film ever made. My name is Len, aka the Bat Triple. And as always, I am joined by my partner.
hey, this is Vincent Williams.
Tonight, we are back from 2 weeks of vacation, ladies and gentlemen. It is so great to see all of you as we are streaming live on YouTube and on Facebook. And we are bringing to you our review of Vince's selection for this stop on the Micheaux Mission. It is 1972's sequel to Cotton
Yes.
Comes to Harlem. Raymond St. Jacques and Godfrey Cambridge return in comeback Charleston Blue. Oh my goodness. And we've got a couple of more surprises in store for you this evening, ladies and gentlemen. But we've been going for two whole weeks. Vince, how are you doing, my friend?
I am fine. It's good to be back. I missed you, missed everybody, missed this.
Yeah.
Nice and rested as we head into the fall. And yourself?
I'm doing
Go ahead.
very well. I'm doing very well. Thank you. Did you do anything special for your vacation?
I mean,
Or
we
was it
went
a
away.
staycation? Oh, you did go away? Yeah.
Yeah, we did go away. We went away for a week. Went up to Martha's Vineyard and ate and read a couple of books and rested and took a nap. So very, very restful. Very restful.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah,
I
And yourself?
I took to the beach of Rehoboth. for
Very
the
nice.
week. It was actually my first time visiting that little town.
Oh,
It was very quaint. Had nothing but good food all week long. Good company.
excellent.
I did not. Surprisingly, now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't do a lot of reading. I actually didn't do a lot of reading. It was more just sitting and talking and playing games, losing a couple actually, to be fair.
Oh,
And just having a beautiful, rested time with good company. So
right.
that's what I did. That's what I did.
My daughter and her best friend beat me and my nephew at spades.
Oh, that's not supposed to happen, Vince.
Yeah. Here's the funny thing. My daughter's best friend, I think, learned on an app.
That's what happens, dog.
So the two, well, in our defense, part of it's a mind game.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can't really talk crazy to your daughter and her best friend like I usually would.
That's true. That's
to
true.
get people in their head.
Yeah. You can't really do that with
right.
Like a little girl and a
like
girlfriend.
You 15-year-old girls, I'm talking crazy to them.
Yeah, you can't do that. Well, I mean, you could, but you'd be arrested.
You could, or you're a bad father.
Exactly. The listeners and viewers are happy to see us back. Robert Monroe said, "Welcome back, Len."
Hey, what's going on, Robert?
And saying hello to all the missionaries and mad love to each and every one of you, Robert and Deborah and Aaron Fry. And Robert actually asked a question for later on. If they remade Cotton Comes to Harlem and Come Back Charleston Blue, who would you choose to star in it?
Oh, my goodness gracious. Robert out the box.
That is a very good question.
That is a very good question.
It is. And yet, I already have the answer. I will save it for later in the show.
Okay.
It is the answer that I guarantee everyone will enjoy and co-sign on.
Okay, I can't wait to hear that. Because I don't have an answer.
Oh, good. Well, good. You can. When I give mine, you will just hop along. You will hop.
Well,
along.
you know what they say. Me and my brother know everything. It's like, oh, really? Well, what's the circumference of the Earth? Oh, that's one of the answers my brother knows.
That's one way to handle it.
So there you go.
There you go. All right. Let's see. We've been away for more than a little bit, and we've got a ton of email to go to, Vince. I got tells me like the opening portion of the show will likely be mostly listener mail.
Oh, okay. You didn't tell me you had to scroll on the bottom. Lynn was sharing with me all the new toys for the visual part of the show. You didn't tell me about the ticker tape. You need to punch in the noise. Like you can have a video of us getting like the tape out of that old timey stock machine. The old timey stock machine. Listener mail.
Anyway, the last time we convened together, Vince, we reviewed BAPS. That was something that we reviewed. Yeah. We heard from Romero Stokes.
Hey, what's up, Romero?
With info of interest. Hey, brothers, glad to see you staying safe and sensible in these trying times. I recently bought a spin bike, and I've enjoyed watching the show while getting my workout in the garage. I'd never seen BAPS, and I'm still on the fence. I have a lot of respect for Robert Townsend, but a lot of his humor, while I get it, is still a little bland for me. I would like to see him do more mature, dramatic work. Maybe a long-form series in the vein of Queen Sugar, wherein he can tell a long, intricate story, quote-unquote, with the help of other directors and writers.
Okay.
Anyway, stay safe and keep doing what you're doing. By the way, there's a Kickstarter for a graphic novel titled Noir is the New Black, a collection of noir stories by Black creators. Considering today's film, I thought it would be interesting to you and the fellow listeners. Peace.
Yes. Our dear friend Stephen Harris, I think, is involved in that.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And I believe if I'm reading my receipts correctly, then I am a contributor.
And I have not yet, and I need to. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Well, you're more than welcome. Let's see. We got another email from Shantae Williams.
Hey, Shantae.
Hey, fellas, I have been a short-time listener, but I like that you pinpoint those things in a film that I can't quite articulate what's not making them great. I also enjoy the backstory I wouldn't have known otherwise. In this show, or on this show, excuse me, you were talking about the PJs. The Eddie Murphy.
You're right, the Eddie Murphy show. Mm-hmm.
And she continues, I was wondering if either of you remember the short-lived website Urban Entertainment Television. It was a website for animated shorts and films for Black filmmakers to shout out their work. I heard that it was bought out by a big company and then they wiped off all of the information and the content in it. Just curious if you remember. Keep up the stellar work. I'm not familiar with it.
I'm not familiar either. Although I do have to say that is a blind spot with me. A lot of the web material.
Yeah.
That came out in the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we talked about this before. It is, in my mind, it is a testament to Issa Rae that I was a fan of The Awkward Black Girl,
mm-hmm.
which was her web series, because I notoriously never do anything with any of that. But that was so good,
right?
That it pulled me in.
And that's because, to be fair, in the early days of people doing web series, I don't know if the production values or the cameras and lighting and everything like that, I don't know if the cost of that had been democratized enough that the quality standard was there. So
right.
A lot of web series, the quality was like, and you kind of knew what you were, buyer beware,
Right. Well, even with that, in their defense, I have to say on my end, I was just unfamiliar with the interface,
mm-hmm.
and I don't think it was as easy to access as it is now.
That's true.
You can watch stuff on your phone, you can watch stuff, damn near on your watch. Like it's just a lot easier. You can watch it on your television if you're old school like us.
True. Very true.
With the smart TV. So, but thank you, Shantae.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We have another email from a question about BAPS from Sean Simmons.
Hey, what's up, Sean?
Wow. Who knew that BAPS would bring to us this much email? Two things, guys, and I hope that you'll indulge me. Now that I listened to most of your shows, I hate to put percentages on things like this, but I'm fairly certain around 80 to 85% of the shows I've listened to. Forgive me if I've missed it, but I seem to catch all the Star Trek mention. But where's the Star Wars love? Come on. Show some love for Luke, Leia, Han, Vader, and the crew. Okay. I don't know if we've ever... He has more, but I'm going to stop there. I don't know if we've ever actually said anything about Star Wars on here because yes, we are both huge Trek fans.
Absolutely.
As a matter of fact, so much so that I'm going to stop in the middle of this point about Star Wars to ask you, Vince,
to talk about some Star Trek.
Have you seen Star Trek Lower Decks?
I have seen all 3 episodes.
And what do you think?
It is okay as a show.
Okay.
I think it is way more interesting as an experiment.
Mm.
This experiment in doing something different
mm-hmm.
underneath Star Trek. Mm-hmm. I think Lower Decks is obviously the Rick and Morty influence is all over it.
Mm-hmm.
But it can't get as dark,
no,
or have as much bite as Rick and Morty,
right?
Because at the end of the day, it's Star Trek,
right?
And it's Paramount, and it's $1 billion enterprise. See what I did? So I can already in the first 3 episodes see that tension
mm-hmm.
between the creators trying to do something really subversive. But then Paramount saying, "Yo, it's Star Trek. Slow down." But it's all right. It's all right.
I'm enjoying it. I think it's
Okay.
I like it, but I also recognize that it is a show that is first, foremost, and possibly last for the Star Trek fan. I don't know
Oh
if
yeah.
you are not a Star Trek fan. I don't know how much of it you will get. I don't think you'll get enough of the humor for it to just be a good show for you. I
Well,
think it's
we've talked about this before, and just to bring it back to Star Wars, I don't think there's anything about Star Trek that organically brings in new fans. I think Star Trek is insular at this point. And if somebody gets into Star Trek, they basically have to be introduced to it by someone who's already into it. As opposed to, I think one of the things that Star Wars has done really, really well is that there are all these great entry points.
Okay.
So that if you are a kid who is, 4 or 5 years old and you're flipping through the cartoon channel to even the 3rd or 4th season of the Clone Wars, I think it's enough of a streamlined through line that you can get into it.
Yeah, but I think that's also because Star Wars is decidedly, for the most part, about one family or one,
Absolutely.
one lineage. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I think that, the biggest crime to me that Star Wars made was that when they finally returned with new movies, that they did not take the opportunity to extend the story beyond that lineage. Or let's put it this way. When the attempt was made, it was immediately snapped back with the most recent film. That being said, I'm a Star Wars fan. I like Star Wars. I'm just not a devotee of it.
I was never a big Star Wars fan originally. Like when the first movies came out and when it became a thing. And I've mentioned it before. In full disclosure, I've always had a low level of resentment towards Star Wars.
Right, I remember.
Star Wars and Jaws kind of put the kibosh on that appropriately enough with what we're doing tonight, with that weird 70s stuff that I love so much.
Right.
And, Star Wars sort of said, okay, we're not going to let the kids run around and make movies anymore. We about to make this money. But appropriately enough, watching Star Wars with my daughter, like 5-6 years ago when she was like 7, I kind of rediscovered Star Wars, and I said, okay, I got Star Wars watching it with my daughter. And to go back to what I just said about Star Trek and with something like Lower Deck, where you feel the tension of Paramount pulling against someone trying to do something that isn't necessarily the mandate. And even we've talked about this with Discovery. I think when Star Wars goes outside of kind of the Star Wars, the Lucasfilm mandate, you do get interesting things. Like, I think The Mandalorian is fantastic.
True. That's true.
Yeah, I think The Mandalorian is absolutely fantastic. And I would love to see something similar to that with Star Trek.
Yeah, I would too. I would argue that the plans are kind of in the work for that, but I'm not 100% sure.
Right. I mean, we'll see. And
we'll see.
The argument was that Lower Decks was going to do that. And, it's only been 3 episodes.
Only 3 episodes. Deborah Battle says that she likes Lower Decks, but sometimes it tries too hard. Damon Williams, what's up, Day?
Hey, it's my brother.
I know. Says the silence about Star Wars speaks volumes. I couldn't agree more. However, the Clone Wars is awesome. So
yeah.
Let's continue on this email from.
Thank you. Who was that letter from?
From Sean Simmons.
Thank you, Sean.
He has one more point. Secondly, in your review of BAPS, one of those not great movies, but a guilty pleasure of mine. And I totally agree that Halle Berry was having some fun in this. You mentioned the name of the great Sir Ian Richardson. Can you please share your thoughts of Mr. Richardson as an actor? Babs was my first awareness of him, but then I saw him in the original House of Cards series. I loved it and him in it. Have you seen that version? I highly recommend it to anyone. I don't think the Netflix series holds a candle to it.
Oh, you want to take it? Like, I can't point to anything specific for him.
He's just a guy who I've seen show up in things.
Right, exactly.
Especially when I'm watching more British, things.
Right.
Like he's like a name a face who I've recognized and have come to, pretty much like appreciate that when he shows up. It's like, all right, well, I know he's going to be doing good work. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I can't point to anything in particular that he's been in, but he's just like one of those faces who just make you feel like, okay, this movie is possibly in good hands.
Right.
Make me want to sit down and give it a chance.
And then the other side, I feel like I've seen him in British television.
Mm-hmm.
Like how you turn to PBS and it's like 90,000 versions of the small town of the English village.
Yeah.
Procedural.
Right.
And he's like in those, or you fool around and catch a period piece deal. But one of those great actors.
Yeah.
And I've not seen the original House of Cards, and I've meant to watch it for years.
No, neither have I, and I have not meant to watch it.
You don't like House of Cards?
No, I loved House of Cards. I just was not that interested in
the British one.
In the British one.
Okay.
That's all. I'm looking at his work right now. I mean, he played Sherlock Holmes back in the 80s. He was in. Let's see, what else did he do here? He definitely was all over television, and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. This guy's been all over the place. M. Butterfly. Oh yeah, I remember that. And that's right. I seem to remember his face popping up in 102 Dalmatians. Look, man, I got a kid.
Look, man.
That's right in her wheelhouse.
That probably was a good check.
You know what I mean? For real. Aaron Fry says the original House of Cards was on Masterpiece Theater on PBS years ago.
Oh, okay. Lynn probably turned from it.
No, I didn't. We got one more. We got more emails, Vince.
All right.
Faith Hodge.
Hey, what's up, Faith?
Okay. And I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly because it's spelled Feith. I guess it's that Faith. Faith Hodge, perhaps.
Let's go with Faith.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Vince said Faith. I'm going.
All right.
A movie suggestion.
Okay.
I just want to let you know that I am really loving your podcast. I look forward to listening to an episode every night until I am all caught up. I do have a movie suggestion for you. The title of the film is The Landlord. Oh, I know this movie.
Yeah.
Even though the lead character is Beau Bridges, it is definitely a black film. The Beau Bridges character buys a brownstone in a black neighborhood in Brooklyn, takes over the building in hopes of refurbishing it, but the tenants, who are all African American, will not leave. There is a hilariously drunken scene with Pearl Bailey and Lee Grant. A young Louis Gossett Jr. is in one of the lead roles. This film references black culture and deals with the issues of gentrification and interracial relationships and racism. I know you both would love it. Keep up the great work. Faith.
Thank you, Faith. The Landlord has come up several times.
Yes, it has.
And it is one of those movies where it's like you kind of try and figure out whether or not we should. You know what I've been thinking about on and off for the past 2 weeks? Bring It On.
Oh, Lord. Bring It On? Really?
Bring It On. I mean, look, you've seen Bring It On, right? Have you seen Bring It On?
Thankfully, no.
Well, see, and I knew you hadn't because you're talking real slick about it. Like you think it's just a dumb cheerleader movie, but it is this really really insightful examination of cultural appropriation.
Isn't Gabrielle Union in
Gabrielle Union, yeah. Oh yeah.
She got her start. Right, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it does. It seems like it's just this dumb movie, but then you watch and it's like, wow, this is saying something pretty important. And it said it before a lot of other people said it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know what?
So this is what I'm going to say to you.
Say?
I want you to watch it. Like, not necessarily for this, but I want you to go ahead and watch it.
Okay. All right. I will one day sit down and watch.
Right. I don't think you could quite make it a black movie, but it's definitely got a lot of black stuff in it.
Remember back in the early days of the Micheaux Mission events where there was a guest who was scheduled to come on, did not make it on because of something happened. But the film that they wanted to watch was the Dark Crystal.
Yeah, I remember.
Over the holiday. My friend who has a deep, devoted childhood love of the Dark Crystal. We saw that on Netflix they had done a Dark Crystal series.
Yeah.
Which made us go down the rabbit hole. Well, we've got to watch the Dark Crystal.
Got to watch and had you seen it before?
I had started to watch it before, but I know for a fact that I never finished it. And I don't think I probably never made it 5 minutes into the movie.
Because
so
it was
my
disturbing
first time
and you turned from it. You said, this is disturbing and I don't want to watch this.
So I sat and watched the Dark Crystal over my vacation.
Right. A bunch of puppets from David Bowie.
Well, David Bowie's not in the movie.
I thought David Bowie's in Dark Crystal.
No, he's not. No, you know what you're
thinking. What am I thinking about?
You're thinking of is it Labyrinth?
I'm thinking about Labyrinth.
Yeah, you're thinking about Labyrinth. Yeah, no, because the Dark Crystal is all Muppets.
It's just all Muppets.
It's all weird, twisted, ugly Muppets. Except one very strange one, the lead Muppet, who disturbingly looks like Michael Jackson.
Oh. I don't think I've ever really seen Dark Crystal either. Because I said, I'm not messing with this.
Consider yourself lucky. Anyway, I continue with the emails. We got an email from Jen Hance.
Hey, what's up, Jen?
And the subject is Heidi Ho.
Uh-oh. Heidi ho.
Exactly. Just listen to your Cab Calloway review from last year.
Okay.
And agreed. Cab, where were you? If the Millers brothers and Lois had changed their names to Lois and the Miller brothers or the Millers, I think they would have done much better. And Lois may have even gotten some of the recognition she deserved. But the best part was watching the movie with my 86-year-old mom who thought Cab Calloway looked like Lawrence Welk. But that's the performance that he gave, and I do live in Arizona where his show is still aired on PBS unironically. Thanks for all you do, guys. Jen.
Yes. Wow. Now here's the funny thing. If my family is listening to this and she said they were watching Lawrence Welk unironically, my family is rolling their eyes because I make them watch Lawrence Welk every single time I see it on PBS.
You're joking, right?
Dude, Lawrence Welk is like a National Geographic documentary.
Oh my goodness.
Like the type of America that Lawrence Welk represents is so amazingly bizarre to me that I cannot not watch it. Then you'll fool around and it'll be a black guy on there, like just part of the Lawrence Welk. Like, have you ever actually really watched Lawrence Welk?
I'm sure I did when I was a kid, but I don't.
So it's like a variety show.
It's a variety. Yeah, it's for people who don't have gray in their beard, Lawrence Welk show was kind of like this, like Vince said, like almost like a variety show.
Right. He was a band leader. He had an orchestra.
Right. And he would have like, but he would have like, you know, like G-list celebrities on his show.
And there's no other way to put it. It was so white.
Very.
This sort of middle America, Eisenhower whiteness.
Yeah. Exactly.
And there would be dancers, and there would be, there are these women, and the women would sing these songs like this. Mm-hmm. And there'd be musical numbers.
Yeah. It was entertainment from a bygone era. I don't know where that era was.
Or a bygone era that never actually existed.
Yeah, see, I don't think it did. Yeah.
Right, people sort of pretended it existed. Anyway, my daughter just texted me and said, "Yeah, we are rolling our eyes." But yeah,
and Aaron Fry said, "Damn, you guys are going back to the Mitch Miller days."
Absolutely. I do. I am fascinated by that stuff. So I don't know if it's ironic or not, but when Lawrence Welk is on, oh yeah, I'll put the controller down and I make the announcement. Unless somebody tells me to turn, I'm going to watch this until it goes off.
See, Lawrence Welk won't make me stop. What will make me stop is if I turn past PBS and they have like some old like kinescope of some old television show, like Your Show of Shows, the Sid Caesar Show, or Milton Berle, or something like that. That will make me stop because I'm a fan of that type of that 50s, 60s television. So that makes me stop.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, we got more emails to get to.
Yes. But thank you, Jen. That was Jen.
Jen Hanson.
Thank you,
from Arizona.
Jen. Yeah.
Aziza Taylor hit us up. A comment and suggested movie review.
Okay.
Hey, Len and Vince. I still love your podcast. Well, thank you very much.
That still is a little ominous.
Very much so. I feel like I want to stop here.
Next letter.
I still love your podcast and can't wait for the next one to air. I've listened to the following episodes more than once. Get Out, Hollywood Shuffle, and The World, the Flesh, and the Devil.
No.
Len, the Hollywood Shuffle episode was dedicated to Helen Martin, but it was hilarious how you spent so much time talking about every actor except her.
And how we called it Harlem Shuffle the entire episode.
Pretty much. I nearly fell out my chair on Vince's comments on Brock Peters. Priceless. On a potential movie review, would you ever consider the historical film adaptation The Last King of Scotland? I really enjoyed Forrest Whitaker and think this is one of his best roles. We as Black Americans spend a lot of time complaining about British actors playing us, but in this case, Forrest Whitaker and Kerry Washington portray Ugandans. Thought? Thanks again for your in-depth reviews. Aziza. Well, I get cats out of the bag. The Last King of Scotland is a film that I definitely intend to put up for our review this fall. Like I got a listing right now that is kind of like being worked because we got a couple of guests that we might be lining up, so it might be moving some things out of order. But The Last King of Scotland is definitely on that list.
Okay, all right. I agree. Yeah, I very much think it's in our wheelhouse. Is that an American film? That's an American film, isn't it?
It is an American film, yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. Okay, we've got 3 more, Vince.
All right.
We can make it.
I was about to say we're eating it up, Lynn. Go ahead.
I think I read this email to you. No, I think I read this email on our vacation. And yes, I read it on our vacation. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to read this out on air.
Okay.
So, and I'm only taking the emails in order, so it's not that I don't
Okay.
end on this one. This is an email from Mike Smith.
Okay.
Subject: This is not for Black people.
Oh, what's not for Black people?
Sadly, this podcast is not really for Black people.
Oh, us! We're not for Black people.
Yes.
Why aren't we for Black people?
Well,
Do we cause high blood pressure?
Mike's about to tell us.
Okay.
It's too much licking white butt and selling out Black people so that white racists can feel good. Trash podcast.
Is he talking about us?
That's what Mike Smith, Dr. Monkey Boy Jr.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go.
Well, that's his email.
Okay. Well, we certainly can't argue with the Monkey Boy lineage. I mean, Dr. Monkey Boy Sr. has done so much for the race, so. All right. Sorry.
One thing I can categorically say, we do not lick too much white butt on this show.
Sorry. All right. Sorry, we're not for you, Mike.
There you go.
I guess he's not going to hear this, though. He's listening to something blacker than us.
Yes, like the Lawrence Welk show.
The Lawrence Welk segment probably didn't help the argument.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
That probably didn't help. The Lawrence Welk part didn't help.
It probably didn't help.
That didn't help.
Our street cred might be.
You should have read that before I went to my Lawrence Welk. Maybe I would have skipped that. At least I didn't mention how much I love the Johnny Cash show.
And your box collection of the Glenn Campbell Hour.
Right.
We got another email, Vince, from Andres Jones.
Subject, you said Andre or Andres?
Was Andras.
Andres. Okay. Hey, what's up, Andres?
Subject: The world is wrong about the paper boy.
Oh, okay.
No,
from the show Atlanta?
I'm not sure. Hello. He's written a couple of times as a fan, and Andres has now started his own podcast.
Oh, very nice.
It's called The World is Wrong. My co-host Brian Connolly and I celebrate films which have been done wrong by critics and audiences. Our next episode, which comes out on September 1st, is on The Paperboy. Your discussions of what is and what isn't a Black film really inform my viewing of this picture, and I'm curious if one or both of you might be interested in joining me for a call to be included on our podcast. If you check out our page and our intro episode, you'll see that I give credit and recommend your show as both a trusted film resource. Thank you so much for your mission. Well, thank you, Andres.
Thank you, Andres. Well, yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah, we will talk offline.
Yeah. Offline. Absolutely.
That sounds pretty cool. All right. Let's see. And we've got one more email.
Okay.
Let me get to it. And I'm wrong. That was it. That was it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, one and all.
Okay.
We didn't even talk about news and stuff. We gotta get to the movie.
We gotta get to the movie.
Everybody watch Lovecraft Country if you're not watching it.
Oh yes, watch Lovecraft.
Gotta put that in there. Right, but okay. Let's.
And since you brought it up, allow me, if you will, Vince, to do a little plug, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
If you are enjoying Lovecraft Country, ladies and gentlemen, then I invite you to tune in to my other podcast home, the Black Tribbles, where you can find us on YouTube and as well as on Facebook in our Tribble Nation Facebook group or even on our Black Tribbles page. Every Monday at 9 p.m., we get together for the Safe Tribble Travel Guide to Lovecraft Country, where we review each and every episode of HBO's new series. Then there's 2 episodes that are up for your listening pleasure. You can download the show, subscribe to it as a podcast, or you can go to Black Tribbles on YouTube, and you can check out the 2 episodes that we've already done. I actually think there's 3 because we did like an intro to Lovecraft Country as well. We're having a lot of fun with this show, and we hope to see some of our missionaries join us for our little travel guide to this great show. You're enjoying the show, right, Vince? It
has exceeded my expectations already, and I had pretty high expectations. Yeah, it's amazing.
It is amazing show, Lovecraft Country. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the emails went on so long, we have to take a pause right now and get into our review. It's time for our review, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
Of Come Back, Charleston Blue.
Things have been kind of quiet for Coffin Ed Johnson and Gravedigger Jones.
Except for the diplomat who moonlights.
Or the nun who believes it's better to give than to receive.
There's a photographer who winds up on both ends of the shooting.
And a junkie who'll do anything to go to jail.
You gotta arrest me, man. I stole that wheel.
But their biggest problem is a very lively corpse named Charleston Blue.
He came back from the dead.
This time, the situation looks great.
Come Back, Charleston Blue. Rated PG.
Hey, and that was Come Back Charleston Blue, ladies and gentlemen. The trailer. What y'all couldn't see was Vince frantically racing to get back to his seat.
I'm back. I'm back from Carolina.
Oh my goodness. All right. Come Back, Charleston Blue, a 1972 comedy film starring Godfrey Cambridge and Raymond St, loosely based on Chester Imes' novel The Heat's On, and a sequel to the 1970 film Cotton Comes to Harlem. Our 2 actors return as Coffin Ed Johnson and Gravedigger Jones, confounded by a string of strange murders in Harlem, New York, and are dead set to figure out who is causing a bizarre series of murders and leaving the calling card of a blue steel straight razor, which was the calling card of the legendary gangster of the early 20th century, Charleston Blue. This film was Vince's selection for this stop on the Micheaux mission. Vince, what say you of Come Back, Charleston Blue?
Well, as you said, this is a film loosely based on the novel by Chester Imes. We mentioned it before we went to break, before we went on vacation, that there have been 3 adaptations of Chester Imes' books. There was Cotton Comes to Harlem, which is the direct antecedent of this film. And then in the 90s, there was A Rage in Harlem. And I was listening to our review of Cotton Comes to Harlem, since this is a direct sequel to it, to kind of give me a reference point to start from. Because the other thing that you'll remember if you listen is that I mentioned I couldn't quite remember what this film was about. Like, I knew I had seen it. I knew it was a sequel to Cotton Comes to Harlem. I mentioned that I spent years looking for a copy of the score and soundtrack by Donny Hathaway, who will certainly talk about Donny Hathaway as well in his involvement. And I think this is a film with some nice pieces to it here and there. But as a film, the plot is is sort of soft, almost ethereal. Like you talked about the mystery, and it's not even a mystery that someone is leaving the calling card of this 1930s gangster, Charleston Blue, and it's a mystery that's resolved fairly quickly. That one of the characters has taken his his straight razors, and is using this as an affectation, and perhaps is trying to get across the illusion that Charleston Blue is back. Although no one really believes it.
Yeah.
From the very beginning that Charleston Blue has ever come back. So it's a bit of a plot point that ultimately doesn't have a whole lot of point to it. The other plot that perhaps is more important is this Charleston Blue character is stealing from the mob, and the mob controls drugs, and the drugs coming to Harlem, and this character Joe and his organization, they're stealing drugs from the mob to basically set up their own shop. And that's the plot, but it's a plot that does not come together that solidly or that quickly, like either part of the plot. And that ultimately reflects in the lack of a real framework that this film has.
Yeah.
I think the great thing about Cotton Comes to Harlem is that they set up the MacGuffin fairly quickly. There's this missing money, everybody's after the money. And that's the plot. Right. So that every scene in the film revolves around this search for the money. Whereas in Come Back Charleston Blue, there's never a solid through line.
Right.
To go along with that, as much as I love Raymond St. Jacques, as much as I love Godfrey Cambridge, they are almost supporting actors in their own movie.
Right.
Exactly. There are whole scenes, whole sections of this film that they're not in.
Right.
And without them in it, it's this very kind of loose collection of scenes. The final part that I will compare this to Cotton Comes to Harlem, and this is something that if you listen to the Cotton Comes to Harlem, one thing you and I both agreed is that Calvin Lockhart, who plays the antagonist, steals the movie.
Yes.
Like it's his movie.
Right.
And he is such a charismatic force that he carries the movie almost on his shoulders.
Exactly.
Peter Deander, who plays Joe, who's the bad guy, just does not have the presence. He's not that great of an actor.
Nope.
So that when you take Coffin Ed and Gravedigger Jones out of the real protagonist role, and then when you have an antagonist who's not really that strong, the whole film just sort of drifts away if you don't look directly at it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Having said that, there are pieces of this film that I like. I think much like with Cotton Comes to Harlem and A Rage in Harlem, this film reflects my favorite part of Chester Himes' work. And that is this really kind of specific depiction of Harlem. That this is an actual place where things, there are people there, these are buildings, there are, not quite set pieces, but settings. Like the first scene is this almost cotillion where you have all these beautiful black people in formal gear. You have, something like, you have black bars, you have a black toy stores, the black militant presence isn't as heavy as it was in Cotton Comes to Harlem, but it's there. So you get this nice sense of place.
Yeah, Harlem is almost like a universe, a city into itself within New York.
It's like a city into itself, and this story just takes place in this city.
Right.
as much as Raymond St. Jacques and Godfrey Cambridge aren't really in the foreground, I still like them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I still like them. I wish there was more of them, but I still like them. And for all the time that we spend with someone like Peter Deander, there are these other people right on the periphery that I also have fondness for. Minnie Gentry, who we've talked about several times in this show, plays Madam, who is Charleston Blue's widow.
Right. Well, I think the character name is Her Majesty, but
Her Majesty. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And Minnie Gentry is just a delight.
Mm-hmm.
Minnie Gentry is just a delight. There are 2 or 3 moments where Godfrey Cambridge shares a scene with her.
Yeah.
And they have tea together, because he's a detective. So he's trying to interview her, and they have tea together. And you know what, Lynn? I could have spent 45 minutes watching the 2 of them have tea.
Okay.
Just talking.
Right.
Because it's Godfrey Cambridge, and he's effortlessly charming.
He is.
It's Minnie Gentry, and she's like this wonderful older presence. Mm-hmm. And it's just this, it's funny, we were talking about PBS before we started. But it is like this very genteel moment with the 2 of them, where they're just sort of talking, and I love that. One of my favorite little character actors, Percy Rodriguez, who plays the new black captain.
Yeah, yeah.
He said something that kind of made me go, oh my goodness, I wish they would just stay with this. Where he's the new captain of this Harlem precinct, and he's a black man, but he comes from like Staten Island. He's had a quiet career. He sort of did everything he's supposed to do. He's trying to retire. He got 2 years left, and he tells Coffin Ed and Gravedigger Jones, look, I know y'all had these white captains, and they're intimidated by y'all. But I'm not trying to hear this noise from y'all.
That's right.
Because I'm black too.
That's
so
right.
Don't even try it with me. And I said, well, this is an interesting dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't do anything with it, really.
No, they don't.
That just sort of goes away. But the moments that they have, I like that. I like him. I love the pulpiness of this. Like that's another thing that if you read any Chester Himes, there's this kind of pulpiness to it where, there's a little person who's a break-in guy with a tall guy.
Yeah.
There's a character who, has the unfortunate name in the script as drag queen.
Yeah.
Where, he just wears nun outfits and Santa Claus outfits and women's clothing. And arguably it doesn't age well.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that seaminess, like again, that kind of pulpiness to it, where you can imagine reading a $15 pulp novel and you kind of bend it up and put it in your back pocket.
Right.
He had on a nun outfit and he pulled out a machine gun and gunned down everybody. And then there is Donny Hathaway. And this is a film that Donny Hathaway wrote the score and the soundtrack. And I have to say, it's not in the film that noticeably for most of the film.
That's true.
But there are moments, and there are 2 moments in particular. There's a sequence in the morning, and there's a song playing called Harlem Dawn that I actually kind of went, oh, because it was so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have anything to do with the film. It has nothing to do with the plot. It's just sort of, again, talking about setting. This is Harlem.
Yeah, and it's just setting the table.
It was just Harlem coming alive in the morning with this beautiful Donny Hathaway behind it.
Yes.
And it was like this jewel in the middle of this, frankly mediocre film.
Mm-hmm.
There's another moment like that. There's a recurring character named Tim who's a drug addict. And part of the plot is that there aren't any drugs because, again, the gangster imitating Charleston Blue is intercepting all of the drugs.
Mm-hmm.
But then Tim finally scores.
Yeah.
And Tim gets high, and for about a minute, Tim walks down the street high. And there's this, appropriately enough, the song is, the orchestral piece is called Tim is High.
Mm-hmm.
But it's this beautiful Donny Hathaway composition that's behind it that Mark Warren, who is the director, who I don't think really does any great work here, but
No.
he really captures the euphoria that Tim is feeling. And that's another moment that I thought was really, really nice in the midst of a film that is, it's not really a whole lot there at the end of the day. So that, I have to say, I'm not sure where I ultimately land with Come Back Charleston Blue. Like I'm gonna listen to you a little bit and then bounce off of you. But like right now, I'm not sure whether or not I recommend this film.
Well, I want to go back to two things that you brought up. But the most recent thing was about the scene with Tim. Tim is high, and your point about the director Mark Warren and how he smartly, and I guess along with the cinematographer, locks the camera in place so that you can just feel Tim walking up the street, euphoric over scoring. And then Donny Hathaway's piece, which is beautiful in its orchestration, but is also matching in the hauntedness of its tone with how Tim is going on. Because as Tim is walking up, he's not stumbling. He's not like, even though he's clearly a junkie,
right?
He's not stumbling all over the place. He's not, have any type of drools, any type of stereotypical look of a drunkard. He actually almost looks like what he almost looks like? He almost looks like he's in a Spike Lee movie. Spike Lee's trick about getting people on a dolly and then having the background move. It almost looks like a scene like that, only it is in fact Tim just walking, just enjoying his high. And I think all of the elements come together in that scene to create just this haunting image that in this film, where there is not much going on in this film, there's not much to recommend the film, except if you're a fan of the chemistry of Raymond St, Jacques and Godfrey Cambridge. In this film, that they actually, like you said, take a whole minute, which is a long time in a film, to be locked in on one scene that has no dialogue, that is only of a person walking and just music playing, and is not one of the lead characters. So for them to realize what they had in the camera and keep that as part of this film is really strong. And it is an amazing scene. And the other one thing I want to go back to is the drag guy, or whatever the character's name is. And you're right, there's elements of it that don't age well, because without it being said, he is clearly a more, let's say, effeminate type of guy. They don't ever come on the nose and say whether or not he is gay or not, but he definitely is, he definitely is of a type. Let's put it that way.
Right.
But with that being said, one, I appreciate that for the most part, it's not talked about in the film. It just is what it is. And then when he is referenced and you get a little glimpse of his backstory is that he was a soldier from Vietnam who actually, which means that, if nothing else, you got to give him some praise for his service. And who the Johnny, that's the lead antagonist guy's name, right? Johnny, right?
Wait, I thought it was Joe.
Joe, you're right, Joe.
Yeah, Joe.
Joe. Who Joe befriended in Vietnam, and now they're just cool like that. You know what I mean? So, without it being said, that kind of relationship speaks volume. It speaks volume of what happens when you're in the military, because you just become brothers in green, despite from where you came from. And it also speaks to a level of maturity in this film, in that this guy is what he is, but it never is called upon. He's never really joked at about it. I think there may be one or two kind of like slide lines that come through, but they're definitely told under your breath. You know,
Right.
It's certainly not played upon as bigger parts of the dialogue, the main dialogue. So I think that is very refreshing for a film in 1972, a black film. So I'm going to rep for that. I'm also going to rep for Chester Himes himself and his creation of the characters of Gravedigger Jones and Coffin Ed Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Their role in this film reminded me of some of the more classic tales, and this is going into our old man comic book bag, of Will Eisner's The Spirit, who was a detective in his comic book stories, but in most of the best Spirit stories, he's just this periphery character. While the crime is the story is more about the people who are committing the crimes or the victims of the crime and all of that, and the Spirit is more or less just there to come put the handcuffs on at the end. And for the most part, that's what Gravedigger and Coffin do in this film. You know, you see them do some loose detective work, but they're really just waiting to lock on the handcuffs on somebody. So, which is fine when you, like you said, in Cotton Comes to Harlem, when you got Calvin Lockhart on the other side, who is maybe the most charismatic man of the 1970s, who could carry 3 films on his right shoulder. That's how bad that boy is. But in this film, there's absolutely nothing happening on the other side, acting-wise, look-wise. There, and the story, I think, is so overstuffed with plot that it loses itself. You know, they introduce the MacGuffin of this movie, which is all about the blue straight razor that Charleston Blue uses, and you see it show up once or twice, but then there's a good solid 30 minutes of this film where you totally forget about it. And I swear to you, I am almost certain that it only shows up at the end because they remembered, oh damn, we got to settle up with
we got to resolve this Charleston Blue business.
Exactly, man. I mean, so it's just too much stuff going on. You know, you've got the girl Carol, who for some strange reason is the niece of the mobster, Casper Jones, who is the mafia, bagman more or less in Harlem. You just don't care about any of this stuff. You don't care. And the only saving grace is that every once in a while, Godfrey Cambridge is asked to go into his bag of tricks and, pretend to be somebody else, put on a fake accent and kind of maybe be funny and save the scene. And you give Raymond St. Jacques a couple of moments to kind of like get a scowl on.
Right. That's his deal. He's real angry all the time.
Yeah, but outside of that, there's really no kind of like, separation between the two characters, really. Right.
Absolutely.
You don't get enough scenery with the two of them together, just chilling, and you you also don't get enough of Donny Hathaway. You mentioned Harlem Dawn. You mentioned Tim is High, and the title track only comes up over the closing credits. And then everything else is like it's nothing, and there definitely are some beats that are not Donny Hathaway. They're kind of like more like stock music used in a couple of scenes. So there's just nothing happening here. And then the biggest crime is that Cotton Comes to Harlem was a funny film, but it was first and foremost a cop movie, right?
Yeah.
It was a crime movie. It knew what it was, and these characters were allowed to, embody this film. And in the creation of those characters, that's where the humor came came from. This film doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't know whether or not it wants to be a cop film, a crime film, or a comedy. So you've got three forces going up against itself, and nothing comes out on top. Absolutely nothing comes out top. Till when it looks like it's kind of like reaching like a serious point, and it might be heading to like, oh man, like some real drama because the girl Carol gets like caught up, and she realizes like, oh my God, I'm on the wrong side of history here. But she makes a dramatic getaway, and there's a dramatic scene of them running through the streets. Shout out to the filming on location in Harlem. But then it dissolves or
into
devolves into a Three Stooges movie. And I'm a sucker for a Three Stooges movie, but they didn't belong here.
It comes out of nowhere. It comes out of nowhere. And we mentioned this when we talked about Cotton Comes to Harlem. Ossie Davis directed Cotton Comes to Harlem.
Right.
And he fell out with the producers about this film because they wanted it to be more serious. And he thought that the tone should have been a little lighter, like it was in Cotton Comes to Harlem. And I actually, and I said it before, I'll say it again, I think a Chester Himes film should be serious. Like, again, I think there are pulpy elements that kind of, have a touch of the fantastical. Like, we haven't even mentioned that the implication is that Charleston Blue actually comes back at the end.
Right.
As a ghost, which I don't actually like that kind of light touch. But this kind of screwball people rolling around just came out of nowhere. And was, like you said, it kind of goes along with the overarching theme that people didn't quite know what they wanted to do with this.
Yeah. And it is a shame because Raymond St. Jacques, a name who has come up on the mission a lot. He's a man who did a lot of television work, a lot and some film work. But in these films was an opportunity for him, an actor of some renown, to stake out his claim for like a role that he could maybe like sink his teeth into. And maybe milk for a couple of more films. You know what I mean?
Well, this material is so rich. This Chester Himes material is so rich. And to circle back to our referencing Lovecraft Country, there could completely be a television show, a Gravedigger Jones, Coffin Ed Johnson series. And if you adapt the novels, that'll give you 5 or 6 seasons.
Yep.
Even this, you have one storyline about this heroine and taking over the drug trade in Harlem. You have a whole separate storyline about the mystery of Charleston Blue.
Right.
Like, that's enough to carry a whole movie.
Absolutely.
And you get the sense that nobody really knew what to, I think it was a hard fit.
You think so?
You take these novels from, I forget when the Heat Zone was published, but the 50s or 60s. You kind of put it in this lens through this blaxploitation prism, and it's just an odd fit. It's just an odd fit.
Yeah,
and it's a shame. It's a real shame. But like I said, there are pieces of it that I like.
Well, I'm glad you found pieces that you like. I honestly, as I was watching it, I found myself kind of like rooting for scenes, but ultimately I just like there are scenes that take place at a graveyard, which I think are legitimately beautifully filmed. But I just don't think that there's really enough done to pull it all together. And ultimately, I think that this is just a failure, and a film that I just did not have a good time with, except that being introduced, because I had not seen the film, being introduced to Donny Hathaway's work on this film made me go down the Donny Hathaway rabbit hole. Now,
Oh my goodness.
I know you are a huge fan of Donny Hathaway.
I really am. I
And-
really am.
And I'm a fan of his work as well. And if you don't think that you are a fan of Donny Hathaway, listeners, you are, because everybody loves This Christmas, which is
Yes.
probably his most famous
Right.
song.
We've argued about this before. The blackest Christmas song ever made, perhaps?
Duh.
Yeah.
Yes. But everybody knows all of his other, with The Ghetto, Someday We'll All Be Free, Little Ghetto Boy, his fabulous duets that he did with Roberta Flack, The Closer I Get to You,
Absolutely.
and Where Is the Love, and of course his version, which I did not know was not the original version of A Song for You.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's actually,
Yeah.
I believe, Leon Russell.
Yeah. Speaking of covers in this, what I always say about Donny Hathaway is that we kind of talk about this concept of Black joy,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like Black joy is linked with sort of Black pain,
Mm.
and I feel like Donny Hathaway encompasses both sides of it.
Oh, isn't that
Like-
so true?
Like everything, and like in my mind, like the most, like the purest embodiment of just Black joy in a song to me. He has a version of You've Got a Friend, the great Carole King song, off of Donny Hathaway Live.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this beautiful moment that they capture. So it's Donny Hathaway Live, recorded it over 2 nights, or it's recording of 2 nights. Once is at the Troubadour, and once is at, and I forget the name of the other club. But the important thing is, I think the Troubadour holds 500 people,
Mm-hmm.
and the other club that they taped at holds like 200 people. So these were fairly small crowds.
Right.
And if you don't know, Donny Hathaway did not have a whole lot of commercial success when he was alive.
Yeah.
Like the hip kids knew about Donny Hathaway, but Donny Hathaway was never like Roberta Flack. I
No.
mean, or Aretha Franklin. So, people knew about him, but he starts singing You've Got a Friend, and You Got a Friend cracks me up because, it's this great Carole King song. And if you read about it, she actually wrote it in response to James Taylor. James Taylor in Fire and Rain, there's a line in there where he says that you don't have any friends. And then she says, well, you do have a friend. And it's this beautiful sort of, this sort of ballad of friendship between these two people.
Mm-hmm.
But what cracks me up about the song is that when Black people sing it, they sing about Jesus. So like you listen to Aretha Franklin sing it and Black people sing it, and the friend that they're talking about is Jesus. This is important because Donny Hathaway starts singing the song, and almost immediately the crowd starts singing it.
Mm-hmm.
And Donny Hathaway backs out of the song, and he basically becomes a choir director.
Wow.
And the crowd has become a choir. And he sings like, he's singing background for the crowd,
Mm-hmm.
and he's directing them. And there's this wonderful moment towards the end where this whole crowd is singing You've Got a Friend,
Mm-hmm.
and he's accompanying the crowd,
Mm-hmm.
where he says, that feels real good, don't it? And it's just this beautiful moment. And to me, like, that's everything that is Donny Hathaway. And as I mentioned, we're old enough that like you said, the box set came out a couple of years ago. We're old enough to remember when like all the Donny Hathaway stuff wasn't available. So like I said, I was trying to hunt down a copy of Comeback Charleston Blue because I was just fiending for Donny Hathaway. So if nothing else, go ahead and get all the Donny Hathaway you can if you don't have it already.
That's right. Get yourself some Donny Hathaway, ladies and gentlemen. You will not be sorry. But Vince, we're here to review Comeback Charleston Blue.
But we are here to review Comeback Charleston Blue.
So while you're recommending people go out to and swap up, cop up everything Donny Hathaway, would you recommend them to go and see Comeback Charleston Blue?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to say I'm not.
Ooh,
I'm not. Yeah, I don't think there's enough of the good to justify the mediocre. So I'm ultimately going to say no, I do not. And you?
Yeah, well, that's definitely a no for me. I cannot recommend that you watch Comeback Charleston Blue. Don't do it. It's not a bad film. It's not a bad film.
But there are better ways to spend your time.
There are better ways to spend your time. So
yeah.
There you go. All right. So before we tell you what we're going to be watching next week, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you all to send all of your emails and feedback. Email us at micheauxmission@gmail.com. Send us your feedback. Hit us up on all the social medias and follow us there on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Join the Facebook group, the Micheaux Mission, because we have a lot of fun talking to all of our missionaries. Thanks to each and every one of you who are watching us on YouTube, where you can subscribe to the Micheaux Mission. Check out our show. Shout out to our social media expert extraordinaire, Toya Haynes, who has been holding down the fort while we've been away with some very fun quizzes.
What's good, Toya?
That she's been putting out there. Check out her podcast, The First Time I Heard. You can look for that wherever podcasts are wherever you find podcasts. Where you find the Micheaux Mission, you'll find The First Time I Heard. There you go. So
there you go.
And it's dope. I think she's got a new episode. I don't think it's going up yet. About the first time she heard LL Cool J.
Oh,
pretty cool. Also, if you want to help out the Micheaux Mission, you can go to the micheauxmission.com, hit swag, and buy some of our funky t-shirts and things and hoodies, because fall is coming. So we've got hoodies there, ladies and gentlemen, that you can, get all nice and snuggly with the Micheaux Mission. And we actually do have new designs coming up. I'm just putting the finishing touches on them. But we got some new designs coming out as well. And let's see. Oh, and Robert Monroe, I haven't forgotten about the question about about who should play.
Right. Who should play them now?
I haven't forgotten. I'm getting there. The Micheaux Mission is available as a radio show every Saturday at 1 p.m. on WPPM 106.5 FM Philly Cam. People-powered media here in the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. And you can wake up with the Micheaux Mission every Monday at 9 a.m. on WKDU 91.7 FM, the voice of Drexel University. The Micheaux Mission is also available as a proud member of the Podglomerate Podcast Network, the Podglomerate curated podcast just for your listening pleasure. All right. If they were to do a remake of Cotton Comes to Harlem and Comeback Charleston Blue, which means they would have to change the script.
Yeah.
Who would I see as taking on the roles of Coffin Ed Johnson and Gravedigger Jones? Why, it would be the reunion of the two actors that Black Hollywood has been waiting to return to a film together. And it's not the movie that you've been wanting for, but it's the very close second that I think you will find hard to ignore. And that is Denzel Washington and Don Cheadle.
Yeah.
As Coffin Ed Johnson and Gravedigger Jones. You could take your pick who plays who.
Right, who plays who.
But nothing, I wouldn't mind seeing Denzel do Gravedigger and thus have a little bit more of a comedic bent to him, because that's Godfrey Cambridge's character. So that would be my call.
Okay.
But that's who I would see in a remake of these films. What do you say, Vince?
Viola Davis and CCH Pounder.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Boom.
You son of a bitch.
How you like that?
You son of a bitch.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Now you can't not see it.
No. I'm going to do you better. Because as much as I love CCH Pounder, and I love her, but I think she's probably a little bit too old. So.
Interesting.
I'll give you Viola Davis.
Okay.
Swap out CCH Pounder. Bring in Jennifer Lewis.
Oh, that's nice too. That's also nice. That's also nice, because you know who I would have swapped out if you would, because what I thought you were going to say is CH Pounder isn't that funny.
Oh no,
like that. But I think she's funny. I don't know if she's that funny.
Right.
You know what? I actually would like to see Viola Davis and Octavia Spencer do something else together.
You know what? There you go. There you see that. Now we're talking. Now we're talking.
Like I think the help stink is on them.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't want to. It's sort of like here's something. You want to talk about rabbit holes, Lynn? Can I just tell you? I spent like a half hour reading about Milli Vanilli the other day. Like rereading the entire saga. Like I read about the entire Milli Vanilli saga.
Wow.
But it's pertinent to this because after everything, because I think they were actually boys.
Yeah, they were friends. Yeah.
But when it all went down, they couldn't be friends anymore because they said we couldn't go places together.
That's right.
Because we were Milli Vanilli when we were together.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the problem with Viola Davis and Octavia Spencer is that, like, when you see them together, you think about The Help.
Yeah, yeah.
And nobody wants to think about The Help.
You're right. You're right.
So
this would be, they would do this for us. Like, this one's for you.
Right, exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
So, I like it. And see, now now we're writing the movie.
Right, because Octavia Spencer would be great as Gravedigger Jones.
She would. I mean, but to be fair, I think Viola Davis would be good as Gravedigger Jones as well. Viola Davis.
I don't know.
Viola Davis, she can be funny. There's this film.
Oh no! Gravedigger Jones is
I thought Gravedigger
Cambridge.
Yeah.
I like Viola Davis as Coffin Ed. Because I like angry Viola Davis.
Yeah, see, but I think that's too easy for Viola Davis.
I mean, everything is easy for Viola Davis.
True, but Viola Davis literally has the hardest walk-ins in the world. Like, if you ever watch the woman walk, she walks hard. I mean, like, her walk is no joke. So it's easy for her to be mean.
Right,
you know what I mean?
But have her be the funny one.
Have her be the funny one?
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. She could do both. I don't care. I would have said. So, but here's the challenge: still have them be the detectives, but set the film in the 70s.
Oh, well, see, now that's tricky.
Well, if you really want tricky. If you really want tricky, you said it when the books were written, were in the 50s and 60s. But
right, well, now that's just impossible.
Right, it's impossible because they just wouldn't have been allowed to be cops. So you said it in the 70s when they could at least be.
Right. So now we have to find out, were there black female detectives in the 70s?
I'm sure there
were. And would they have partnered them with each other?
Don't you remember Get Christy Love?
Get Christy Love. Yeah, that's true. And she was a detective.
Yes.
And Cleopatra Jones was a special agent, which, oh my God, I don't believe we spent an hour and 24 minutes and didn't talk about Tamara Dobson in this. Why is Tamara Dobson in this? For 2 scenes. And one of the scenes, she shoots a bow and arrow at somebody. And I said, yeah, Cameron Dobson shooting a bow and arrow at somebody. This tracks, actually.
Yeah. She didn't look.
This actually makes sense.
I think we did. I think if you really slow down her scene of her shooting that arrow, you'll realize why we didn't talk about her shooting the arrow.
And you know, she told Mark Warren, no, I'm not shooting a gun. I want a bow and arrow.
Yes, Miss Dobson.
Exactly. He's wearing a dress. He's got on a blue fur. I'm going to shoot a bow and arrow.
Stop me.
Right. All right.
Oh, that was fun. All right, so it's time.
Yeah, you're up. We're going to leave on Cameron Dobson shooting a bow and arrow.
I knocked down Micheaux.
See?
I knocked Micheaux down.
Yeah.
Micheaux, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, boy.
Micheaux is actually splatter in blood that glows in the dark.
Yeah. Very nice.
My daughter gave it.
Now, does she come with 2 zombies?
Yes. Yeah. There's
Yeah, I only see the one in the corner. Okay, well, don't move nothing. Okay, all right. Okay, don't knock nothing over. Come on, let's wrap this up. Now we've moved to Vincent Leonard just talking.
Aaron Fry said Viola Davis and Octavia Spencer in a reboot of The In-Laws. Oh, that would be great. Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I love
that
movie.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that movie. All right. Okay, so it's my turn. It is my time.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was going to get serious for September, but to be honest, our vacation kind of like snuck up on us, so I didn't get a chance to go through all of the films that I wanted to do for August. So I had one left over, and I was like, well, do I keep this in my pocket and get into my series bag because it will be September 1st, or do I still do this film? And I landed on I'm still going to do this film, and I'm doing it for 2 reasons. One, because it's a film that is still a very good film, and a film that is worth revisiting and having a dissertation, a conversation about. And 2, because the guest that I had lined up for next week is still on the fence about exactly what film they want to review. So they asked to wait till the 15th. So I'm like, okay, so here we go. So next week, here on the Micheaux Mission, we will be journeying back into the 4-colored world of animation. As
oh my goodness.
We review
Here we go.
Disney's The Princess and the Frog.
Oh my goodness, my daughter is going to be so happy when she hears this.
Yeah. So,
all
Princess
right.
and the Frog. There you go.
Princess and the Frog.
A film I have never seen.
Interesting. That is, I'm very interested in you watching it after some of the conversations we've been having about Black representation. Yeah. And I'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
All right. So The Princess and the Frog next week.
Hey, Lynn.
Yes.
Hey, Lynn.
Yes.
Who's that film star? Do you know who the film stars? Who's the star of that film?
Wouldn't that be the princess?
Uh-huh. And who plays the princess?
Who gives voice to the princess, Vince?
Yeah. Who gives voice to the princess? Do you know?
I think she has 3 names.
She does indeed. She needs 3 names.
I think it starts with an A.
Yes, sir.
Would that
Fishing
be
first.
Anika Noni Rose?
Anika Noni Rose. Yes, sir.
Well, it's nice to know that two people in the Williams household will be happy next week. Let's see what Mrs. Williams says about how delighted Vince is to review the voice of Anika Noni Rose.
She's a wonderful, once-in-a-lifetime talent.
Until next week, ladies and gentlemen, he's Vince. I'm Len. In parting, we say,
we'll see you when it's time to meet again.
And Robert Monroe, just for you, as we head out, this one is for you.
Take so long to come to me, oh baby, and love, your love. Tell me, were you hiding from me all the time? Each time I tried to find someone to take your place, it was all in vain. No, their lips were never quite the same. No, baby. When I was kissing someone new, deep inside I was missing you. Oh, baby, you made me fall in love with you. Now I don't know just what I'm gonna do. Oh, honey, I looked out into empty space, and all I saw was your sweet face. What you do to me, oh baby, and love, your love. Every time you smile, it goes through me all the time. Day by day, I'm falling more in love with you, and that's no lie. 'Cause my heart and honey, I hope to die. 'Cause I'm not trying to mislead you. Believe me, girl, I really need you. Oh, baby, you make me fall in love with you. I don't know just what I'm gonna do. Oh, honey, I looked out into